Now, around all of us are ladies. God has been very kind to give us the pleasure of being able to appreciate Him through the ladies who are all around us. And I believe very strongly that if we did not have women in our lives, we would be definitely shortchanged. Now, of course, there is this is a very serious occasion, and one has not made any jokes. But if you permit me, on a slightly less serious note, I'll recount the story, what I heard about women. And this is with regard to Adam and Eve. Now, Adam, as you know, the story goes that Eve was created from one of the ribs of Adam. Now, one day Adam came back very late from a hunt, and Eve had been waiting for a long time for him to return. And when he came back, he came and said, "Woman, give me my food, I'm tired, I want to sleep." Eve was angry, but she nevertheless prepared the food and gave it to Adam. And Adam ate and fell asleep. What did Eve do? He went up to Adam and started counting his ribs to find out if all the ribs were there. Now, the point is that what is right to information? Right to information enables all those who are not having equal access, not only to information, but equitable access to the process of governance, to come forward and to seek information. And if so denied, then to register a complaint and an appeal with the Information Commission. The principle of right to information, I was explaining to the lady from the US Embassy here, started quite some time ago. It started actually in 1766 in Sweden. And it took 200 years to cross the Atlantic. It arrived on the shores of Washington in 1966. And then took another 34 years to travel to London. And then slowly came over to South Asia. But I was pointing out yesterday to a gentleman who had come to see me from Delhi that contrary to what many suggest, India itself needs to move forward with RTI, because they have RTI enacted in the different states of India, but not yet in Kashmir. And I was drawing his attention to the fact that that is where all the contention lies right now. And he rang me up today from Delhi to say that he has gone and talked, and they have now in principle agreed to bring Kashmir also within the purview of the Act. And they will soon have an information commission in Kashmir by the end of April this year. Now, why is this so important? The importance lies in the fact, এটা অনেকে বাংলা যেটাকে বলে খাল কেটে কুমির নিয়ে আসা. You are bringing into the prospect of governance the question of accountability. And here women through BWIT can play an important role. And one person who has played such an important role, along with another esteemed person, one is the Honorable Prime Minister, and the other is another lady, the Director of the World Bank, presently here. Ellen Goldstein, she is the head of World Bank right now here. She came to see me and we discussed various things. And one of the things I mentioned to her at that time was that in order to move the process of governance forward and to reduce corruption, there needs to be sense of accountability in the tendering process of important projects. So one of the things I suggested to her was to start a campaign through the Padma Bridge. And you have seen recently a decision where the government has kindly agreed, because the Prime Minister was kind to understand this, that the entire process of building of the Padma Bridge will be subject to RTI. Now that's a great movement forward. I'll give you another example of the movement forward. Last month, recently, we had this breakout of news over Grameen Bank, where a documentary had been shown about the Grameen Bank, and controversy emerged over the way the whole process had been pursued within the regulatory framework of Grameen Bank. Requested me to be live on ATN television to give my views about the matter. And I had with me at that time the business editor of Potomalu. When I was asked what I thought about it, my answer was very simple. I said that Grameen Bank should have been consistent with the RTI process. If they had a designated information officer who comes within my purview and a supervisor of this person concerned in place, then this particular person who made the documentary would have come and asked his questions about the transactions in 97-98, and the bank official would have explained to him that the matter was finished and forgotten. I became the subject of controversy because people said, how dare he attack Professor Yunus? Now, Professor Yunus is a friend of mine since 1972, and I was instrumental in getting Grameen Phone the license to operate in this country without paying a single cent, because the Prime Minister at that time, I was then ambassador in Italy, at that time very clearly felt, very correctly felt, that we need not have a monopoly in terms of mobile phones. We had only one, if you remember, Mr. Murshid Khan's phone number. And that one set used to cost 150,000 takas. And per minute was 27 takas per minute. What did the Prime Minister do? She initiated the process of giving competition, and Grameen Phone came into place. She also, of course, as you know, opened up the television industry by giving ETV the opportunity to compete and to set a certain standard vis-a-vis the BTV. Raja Ujir Golamer ye jetake bola hai. Similarly, she has now gone and done this RTI. So, after I made the statement on ATN, many rang me up and said, how could you do it, etc., etc. I said, well, I stand by what I said. And then very soon after that, I met Professor Yunus here in a wedding. Mr. Mahmoud Rahman's son was getting married, and he was here. And he came up to me and he said, Zamir, you are absolutely right, we should do it. But he didn't. Then came the second news about Grameen Bank, about the packaging plant of his father, and now Grameen. And again the same thing I said on television. This was in Ekoshi TV. And this time his brother Jahangir was with me. Very next day, of course, Professor Yunus talked to me. And now they have come under the Act. They are being consistent with the Act. They are giving me the names of the designated officer, the supervisor, and 40 other different branch heads who will also answer to questions. Now, what is the reason for doing this? The reason is anyone in this room or anyone outside should be able to go up, ask a question, and receive an answer. I'm sorry to say here that how many NGOs do we have here? We have about 30,000-40,000 NGOs in this country. And do you know the number of NGOs who have up till now given me the names of the designated information officer after 18 months when they should have done it in 60 days? Total number is 232. So when civil society tells me about importance of transparency, I tell them, please be transparent yourselves first. We have received the names from about 6,000 plus government departments who have given the designated officers. but we have 232, out of which 211 are from outside Dhaka. I'm hoping that BWIT will also have a designated officer and pass it on to me. Now, what have we done about it? We now have a web portal which is interactive. We have signed MOUs with A2I, which is from the Prime Minister's office. We have signed MOUs recently with Robi, with Grameen Phone, and you must have seen recently on your mobile sets SMS texting about Totthyo Adhikar, Maulik Adhikar, Janar Adhikar ityadi. And that's all being done free under CSR. And that is to empower people to ask questions. And for example, we are also monitoring in our own way through all the deputy commissioners as to how many questions are being asked, what kind of questions are being asked, whether they're giving responses, whether they're answering them. You'll be surprised to know that, for example, from Narayanganj, the last report was that in the last 9 months, since I've taken over, they have received 37,100 plus questions. And from that, because they answered the questions, many were verbal, many were through application forms, many required for them to make photocopies of documents and pass it on. They also received, which they have indicated, more than 732,000 takas, which were since deposited in the treasury. Because you have to pay a court fee of 2 taka per page of document received. So that shows incredible amount of vibrancy. Another example is Molvi Bazaar, 2017 questions. How has it helped the people? Classical example, Chittagong hill tracts. You remember last year there was this unfortunate incident where there was arson and killing and pillage in various villages. 3 villagers sent letters asking questions about, very pertinent. 1, who were affected? We want to see the list. Does it include the tribal people or is it just settlers? The government and the Prime Minister has said that yes, we are going to provide relief and rehabilitation. We want to know how much of rice, how many bundles of tin are meant for each person. Number 3, you must have made a list of the people who are going to get this. We want to see that list. The 3 district commissioners of the 3 hill districts did not give the information. So they appealed to the secretary of the Chittagong Hill Tracts Ministry. Very fine person. He did not give it either because he felt it involved national security. So they appealed to me as the tribunal. So I called in the secretary, we had a discussion and I explained that this was a fundamental right which the villagers must get. So since then, all the information was given. And what was the result? The American ambassador, Jim Moriarty, came to me later on. And he said that yes, it has been given. They know what it is. And in some cases, there had been examples of 5 kg চাল দেওয়ার কথা দিয়েছে 3 kg. সেখানে তারা ধরা পড়েছে, তাদেরকে দেখিয়েছে, দেখাবার পরে তারা চাল দিতে বাধ্য হয়েছে. So even if there is some degree of sensitivity about what's happening in Chittagong Hill Tracts regarding the implementation of the treaty signed between, or the agreement signed between the parties in 1997, not a single line has appeared in the newspapers about the fact that the government has not taken steps properly regarding relief and rehabilitation. That's a quiet issue. Similar things are happening in northwest Bangladesh amongst the Dalit, Santal and the Mathur communities regarding immunization and healthcare. Similar things have received letters from southwest Bangladesh about leasehold water bodies. ইজারা বাতিল করে দেওয়া, সেই যারা বাতিল করছে তারা গিয়ে আরটিআই এর আন্ডারে দেখাচ্ছে, এর মাধ্যমে আমাদের জানানো হোক কেন বাতিল করা হয়েছে। তখন তারা আবার সেই ইজারা বাতিল করার এটাকে আবার উইথড্র করছে। Now, these are important matters. I've received a letter from a young girl who is 14 years old saying, I thank the government for the RTI Act because it permitted